Long ago in Egypt, there lived a little girl whose parents were farmers. One evening, the little girl's mother asked her to fill a jug with water from the river Nile. The little girl was upset. She did not want to stop playing to collect water from the river, but she did as her mother told her. While filling her jug in the water, the little girl heard a voice. When she looked up, all she saw was a crocodile. She continued to fill her jug, but stopped when she heard the voice a second time. Little girl, a deep voice said. Now the little girl was growing impatient. Perhaps it's one of my brothers playing a trick. I do not frighten so easily, she said out loud. I am not one of your brothers, the voice said. I am a crocodile, and I need your help. The little girl looked up in surprise. Was the crocodile really speaking to her? She saw that the crocodile was tangled in a fisherman's net and could not break free. The little girl was afraid, though, when she saw the crocodile's long claws and sharp teeth. Please help me, he said. I promise I will not hurt you, and I never break a promise. The little girl thought about this for a while and decided to help the crocodile. When he was freed, the crocodile spoke. For your kindness I will repay you. With each full moon you may come to the banks of the Nile, cup your hands together, and fill them with water. As you sip the water, you may make one wish. May I wish for anything? Asked the little girl. Her eyes sparkled with visions of riches. Yes, you may wish for anything, said the crocodile, but first you must make a promise. For each wish you are granted, you must help someone in need. That's simple, said the little girl. Whenever I make a wish, I have to help someone. Yes, said the crocodile. Always remember to share your gifts or to help others in some way. If you make this promise, you must never break it. The little girl nodded. She was half listening to the crocodile's warning. Instead, she was thinking about what she would do, what she would wish for at the next full moon. On the next night of the full moon, the little girl knelt at the banks of the Nile. She cupped her hands together and filled them with water. As she sipped the water, she made a wish for a basket full of tasty bread and fruit. When the little girl opened her eyes, before her was a basket full of tasty bread and fruit. She took the basket home and shared it with her family. With each full moon, the little girl drank from the Nile and made wishes for many wonderful things. At first, her wishes were small. Then her wishes became bigger, such as her wish for a cook to make delicious meals and treats. As she grew into a young woman, she lived the life of luxury. She was the best dressed girl in all of Egypt and lived in a beautiful palace. She ate the finest foods and didn't have to lift a finger to do any kind of work. At first, the young woman helped those in need, but as the years passed, she broke her promise to the crocodile and refused to help others. Since her wishes were still granted, the young woman thought it was silly to continue to help others. One night, the young woman made her biggest wish yet. She wished to be the queen of Egypt. Once her wish was granted, she began making a list of beautiful and exotic items with which she could fill her palace. With each full moon, she wished for bigger and better things. She wished for statues made of gold and ivory. She wished for rugs made of the finest silk. She wished for servants to do her every command. But no matter how much she wished for, it was never enough. She always wanted more. At the next full moon, the queen knelt at the banks of the Nile, trying to think of a wish. As she thought by the river, she heard an old man's voice call out to her, Young lady, young lady. She ignored the old man, hoping he would walk away. When he did not walk away, she turned with a scowl on her face. What is it? She demanded. Can't you see I'm busy? Forgive me, Queen, the old man said. I did not know it was you. I was on a journey when I tripped and lost my most important possessions in the river. Please, would you be so kind as to help me? I cannot swim, and I fear that I will lose everything. Go away, the queen said. I have no time to help a weak old man such as yourself. The queen was so lost in her greed that she once again broke her promise to help someone in need. Just then something caught her eye. A golden jeweled trunk was stuck in the mud in the river. There it is, cried the old man. The queen jumped into the river to bring back the jeweled trunk. As it sparkled in the moonlight, the queen rejoiced in her good fortune. What luck, she said. I have already found a new treasure, and I still have a wish to make. Now what shall I wish for? But queen, said the old man, that trunk does not belong to you. How dare you stand there here and speak to the Queen of Egypt with such defiance? She asked angrily. What I wish is for you to disappear. With her words, the old man disappeared, just as the Queen had wished. Look at all these jewels, the Queen said as she lifted them from the old man's trunk. The greedy Queen draped them all over her body until she glittered and glowed in the moonlight. Now I shine even brighter than you, Moon. Finally, I can make my wish in peace, the Queen said, forgetting that she had just used a wish to make the old man disappear. The Queen knelt at the river and cupped her hands together. When she did this, one of the jewels slipped into the Nile. When the Queen reached for the jewel, she did not see her arm. Instead, the Queen saw a scaly claw reaching into the river. What is this? Screamed the Queen. She looked at her reflection in the moonlight, only to find that she was turning into a crocodile. What's happening to me? I do not wish to become a beast, screamed the Queen. No, you did not, answered the voice. It was the crocodile she met when she was a little girl. You wished for an old man to disappear. You also broke your promise to help others, and you stole that man's treasure. Huh, these jewels could not belong to that man, scoffed the Queen. Now look at how they glitter. Do they look like the belongings of a poor man? It was your own greed that blinded you, answered the crocodile. Look again. The Queen looked again at her reflection in the river and saw that the jewels were nothing but common stones and that the golden chest was made of nothing but wood. When the Queen tried to brush the stones away, she found that they stuck. Her once soft, smooth skin was now rough and bumpy. How did this happen? Cried the Queen. The old man you met, said the crocodile, was the keeper of promises. He travels around the world collecting promises. The stones he carries are the promises. Your actions have not only broken your promise, but the promises of people around the world. The Queen looked at the wooden trunk. It was filled with millions of pebbles and broken stones. Oh, what shall I do now? Cried the Queen. You must fix the promises you have broken. That is not easy to do, and it takes a very long time. When the old man comes back to this place, you may help him and fix your broken promises. Until then, you must wear these broken promises and wait for him to return. To this day, you can still see the Crocodile Queen. She sits by the banks of the Nile, waiting for the old man to return so she can fix her broken promises.